department. We have been all busy reading, and we are excited to share with you some of our favorite books we picked out from the young adult and youth departments throughout Charlotte County. So let's go ahead and get started. Who wants to go first?
Hi, I'm Miss Ashley.
It's just easier if we just go in a circle.
All right, great. All right, guys. Well, I am Miss Ashley, and I am going to show you the first book I read this month, which was The Gracier. And I loved it so much, I actually read it twice.
I know, I love that book so much. I read it too.
It was so good. There was some.
good.
I had to stop a lot of the times and go back and reread because I was like, I know I missed something there. That was great. It's a great psychological thriller. It's got this patriarchal society, and Tierney, who's 16 years old, comes of age where she has to go and live out her Gracier in the wilderness with a bunch of other girls. Insane, really. So in the society, all of the girls are, it's kind of like, it's definitely a comment on how we are treated in society, how we treat each other, the different relationships we have, and it's beautifully done. It's very dark. This is definitely for older teens, I'd say. The Gracier by Kim Leggett. But it's so good, and a lot of the story is you can't tell what's real and what's going on.
Like even
it's
the magic,
crazy.
the whole time you're like, is there magic?
Yeah.
Or is this just something they tell them because who knows why, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
It was
there's
really
a lot
good.
of like, you're scratching your head thinking, who do
Yes.
I trust here? What's actually happening?
I actually had a couple nightmares.
Oh my God.
It was really dark,
great.
man.
I loved it.
The punishment tree.
I've read
was like,
worse. I've talked about worse.
I read that one too, and I did like it. I think it's a great book, but I was just like, by the end, I was like, why? Does everything have to be horrible for women all the time?
I
Like,
know.
I was over it
I
by
know.
the time I got done. I was like, I need to read something more uplifting.
I remember I was like, Mom, you have to read this book. It's so good. And she read it and she was like, why? Why?
What?
She's like, why did you do this to me? And she was like, I didn't like it. And I was like,
I think
Mom.
guys
Still really like it too. I think it's a very good book for guys to read. The violence will keep them going for sure. It's not like this girly book. It's really good, and it's got a couple of really great male characters in
Yeah,
there.
it does.
Who also step out of their own society-driven roles and stuff. So it's awesome. Definitely pick it up.
Yes.
And the first one I read this month is called Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And it's actually in our adult fantasy collection, but it would work for a YA book discussion. And I actually listened to the audiobook, which I was very happy for. The main character is a 16-year-old girl named Cassiopeia Tun, and she and her mother are indentured servants for their family. So her mother was in high standing with the family, but she went and married an indigenous man, which, cast her out. So when Cassiopeia's father died and she was young, they came back to the family and they were made to be servants. So she's bullied by her aunts and her cousin Martine, who is a royal pain in the behind. But sympathy for him grows later on in the book. And she opens a forbidden chest in her grandfather's room when they go to the cenote to offer sacrifice to the gods. And this is early it's like 1920s, by the way. She finds the key that her grandfather leaves behind, opens the chest, and there's just a pile of bones in there. So she's like, there has to be treasure because it talks about everything. And her finger gets pricked, and that piece of bone goes into her, and she revitalizes the god of the dead, Hun Kame. No, that's it. That's Hun Kame.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about The Project by Courtney Summers.
I like it.
It looks really
I like it.
neat.
It looks creepy.
I know.
Yeah, it does.
I thought it was really cool effect on the cover. So I read her last one and really loved it, and maybe that made my expectations a little high, but it was good. So what happens is it's about these two sisters. B is the older sister and Lo is the younger sister.
Hello.
And their parents are in a car accident. B is like 16, I think, and then Lo is like 8 or 9. So the parents die in the accident, and this is the catalyst for everything that happens in the book. So the older sister is like freaking out, like all my family's at Lowe's in the hospital, and she's like, I don't know if she's gonna make it, she's all I have left, and she goes to pray in the chapel at the hospital. And this guy shows up and just seems like he has all the answers, and
Dun, dun, dun.
ends up pulling her into this thing called the Unity Project.
That's
It's basically like a cult, but she feels like he's got all the answers, and Lo survives, and so she feels like he did that.
That sounds super good.
Yeah, and then so we have two different timelines going on. We have that part with B, and then we jump ahead to the future when Lo is like in her early 20s. She's got her first job. She wants to be a journalist, and she has not seen her sister since the accident. So the two timelines are getting closer together, and you kind of find out what happens. So it's really good.
I want to bring that home with me.
Lo is the investigator, and she tries to find out what happens to her sister.
That's
so,
awesome.
It was
Sounds
good.
really good.
It sounds a little bit like Sadie too.
Yeah, it's the same kind of like dark theme with two sisters that are trying to figure out what's
Piece
going on.
together that
Yeah.
story. Yeah, that's cool.
That's really cool. The friend of mine and I were actually just talking about it. We're like, oh my God, serial killers are so played out. Cults are the new thing. So I'm like, yeah, that's going on my reading list.
And I mean, if you ever wonder, like, how can anybody believe that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kind of shows you how it happened to her, at least, where she
Also,
you can see
like
that it's
A
only
Thousand
psychology.
Lives, the true story about what was it, Pastor
Jones and all the
Yes.
people that drank the,
Yeah.
that was a look into a cult as well, and how he convinced everyone, and that was messed up.
Yeah. So
Okay. I promised everyone I would read happier books, and I
did pretty good.
kind of did. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna start by talking about this manga series. It's the very first manga series I ever read, so I was really worried that I would keep trying to turn the page the wrong way, but I didn't. It's called, so I'm proud of myself. It's called Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'll do anything to become a librarian. Part 1. If there aren't any books, I'll have to make some. Oh my gosh! And so at the beginning of the book, it's about, I don't remember what her name is in the beginning. It's about this girl who,
It looks so cute.
it's so good.
So
Guys.
well, no spoilers, Mudge.
No, it's
Okay.
like the first page. It's the entire thing.
So the storyline is, it begins with this girl named Urano, and she loves books, and she lives kind of like in our world in Japan. And there's an earthquake, and she's buried alive by her books and dies. I know.
We're all like,
This
yeah.
is too real. So she wakes up in the body of this 5-year-old girl named Min, who is really sickly and always has a fever, and she's not in our world anymore. She's in this other world that it's a really poor area, and the literacy rate is so low that they don't have books or paper because they can't afford it. So she's like, all I want to do in life is read. And she has her mental cognition from when she was this college student. So she's the smartest 5-year-old around. And she keeps her mom's cooking dinner, and she's like, why don't you salt that meat so it'll last longer? And she's like, how do you know this? So she tries to start making paper. So in all of the books, she tries a different way to make paper and books. And so it talks a lot about Yellow River culture and Mesopotamian culture and Egyptian hieroglyphics and clay tablets and everything. So it's really interesting. And there's her family and the forest, and it's so good. I love them. And we have the next 4 on pre-order. So we will be getting them as they come out.
So this is
I'm really
like
excited.
part 1, volumes 1, 2, and 3. There's part 2 with 3 or 4 volumes.
Yeah.
And there's also going to be a part 3.
Yes.
So it's a growing manga
Nice.
series.
So if you read them, we will get all of them. So
Read
I
them.
can read them.
I'm going to read
But
them.
after all of us, obviously,
Yes,
we're all
but
reading
they're-
these
they're
next.
literally so cute. Okay.
That looks really
Very
cute.
cute.
Oh, that's
Yes.
adorable. Well, keeping on topic with Mel's here of mangas and Japan, I was recommended this series actually a couple years ago by a friend of mine who is a massive anime and manga fan. This series is called Saints Young Men. I will disclaimer to you that I am not a religious person in any sort of way. So I really love this book because it presents all the views about Christianity, Buddhism, and even other religions and cultures throughout the world in a very open-minded, accepting for interpretation by anyone, interpretation of what would Jesus and Buddha do in modern day Japan. How would they live if they were mortals?
I gotta read that.
They still have their powers. One of my favorite things that happens once in a while is if Jesus will have a holy thought, he starts to glow. He has a heavenly radiance. His stigmata, he's always wearing his crown of thorns, so his stigmata will start bleeding. Like, you don't notice them when you walk by at first. You're like, oh, that guy kind of looks like Buddha. But then if you see the holy glow, you're going to be like, that's Jesus. And it's so great.
It sounds intriguing.
It is so good. We have all 4 omnibuses. An omnibus is a mass collection of several smaller paper-bound versions of the comic bound into one.
Oh, I can't wait to read that one.
It sounds good.
So my next book I have is The Downstairs Girl by Stacy Lee. Oh, this one was so good. It's about a Chinese girl living in Atlanta, Georgia during Jim Crow era. So she's just trying to find her own voice.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Hold it back.
No.
I could not.
Bless you, she said.
Okay, so this 16-year-old girl is just trying to find her own voice and her own place in this society that sort of accepts her but sort of doesn't. So it's really great. She lives with this older gentleman, old Jim. She was left on his doorstep when she was a baby. She doesn't know her parents, and her name is Jo Kwan. And she's just been kind of working odd jobs throughout the town her whole life, just trying to make it. And she doesn't feel like she really fits in anywhere. She definitely doesn't fit in with the white people, and she doesn't really fit in with the black people. She lives beneath this other family in secret. That she's always done that her whole life. She listens to them through, it used to be the Underground Railroad, so she listens through them through the speaking tube. And it's actually a print shop. So she hears all the town's gossip and everything from that print shop. And she's been living there her whole life. And one day she just gets this great idea that she's going to get a voice for herself. She's going to write these articles against microaggressions with the pen name Miss Sweetie. And she just drops the articles in the mailbox. And she knows that the print shop will print them because they need something because they're starting to go under. And it's really great. Things start to get out of control and everything. It kind of reminds me of Lady Whistledown a little bit if we're going to the Bridgertons. But it's nothing like the Bridgertons. But so many secrets come to light, and it's just like, whoa!
I love that.
Scandalous.
Great.
It's great. Okay.
Speaking of secrets, that goes into this book. It's called Burn by Patrick Ness. I originally picked it up because I'm like, oh cool, there's a dragon on the cover. And also because it's one of the 84 YALSA books that were recommended for this year.
I think it is. It's either one of the YALSA books or it was one of the Florida Teen Read books for last year. It's one of the two, but I know
it's one of the two. I'm like, oh, cool, a dragon. So the little snippet on the back says, on a cold Sunday evening in early 1957, the very day, in fact, that Dwight David Eisenhower took the oath of office for the second time as President of the United States of America, Sarah Dewhurst waited with her father in the parking lot of the Chevron gas station for the dragon he'd hired to help on the farm. So this is like American history. So in 1957 in the United States, you have the world that this is. It's our world, but with dragons. But like I said, the dragons, I didn't really like this book.
Okay, so I reviewed this book, I think in December or something, and I felt the same way. I was like, there's way too much going on.
I was
There's
expecting so much more.
20 different issues, and they're all...
And yeah, they're all happening at the same
too much is
time.
going on.
Stuff happens. And it leaves it up to be like an opening to another book. And I was like, I would not read the sequel. I was like, I did not like it.
Aww.
So, I mean, it's up to you to give it a shot. There's a lot going on. It's cool. There's dragons and lots of weird time traveling, shifting political spies and secret agents. And people who are pretending to be goddesses who may or may not be goddesses. It's a whole lot contained within these something pages. So you're welcome to give it a shot. I personally was expecting more and didn't get it. I was underwhelmed, but it wasn't a bad book. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
So
Same.
there's that.
So if you need like a lot going on to keep you interested, that should do the trick.
Because it's like, wait, plot twist. What? Wait, what just happened?
Plot twist, like,
Why? Oh, it's a mind warp.
Some books.
This is a really good author. Like I like
This is my
his-
first one by him.
I read his other series, The Chaos,
Chaos
Walking, and that was
it's
great.
becoming a movie soon.
That was a great series. So
Yes.
if you're not sure
With Tom
about this
Holland.
one after our review,
Awesome.
maybe try a different one of his. All right, so I've got a JF book now.
Oh, I
Winterborn Home for Vengeance and Valor
I love Alec.
by Allie Carter. She writes
Vengeance.
some YA
She
stuff.
did the Gallagher Girl series,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful, and I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is really cute. I think you would like this one a
I'm
lot.
sure I would like
it's
it.
Oh, I like the
It's a
cover.
quick read. It's definitely JF. I think all the characters are 12 and younger. It's full of action and mystery, and I
Ooh.
listened to it. I just finished it today, and it's got like a really sarcastic tone. Like I thought it was funny. I liked it. It's like part Nancy Drew and part The Westing Game, if you've ever read that. So basically, The Westing Game is like these kids are, well, all these people that live in a building are trying to solve the mystery for some money, and that's what's happening here too. So she's an orphan and gets adopted into the Winterborn house, which sounds like a dream come true because she's been in a lot of unhappy foster families. So she moves into the house with these other kids. Gabriel Winterborn, the family heir, has been missing, and there's a $5 million reward for anyone who finds him. So the kids become a family together. Everyone's a really great character, and they solved the mystery. So
Oh,
Nice.
exciting. Yeah, it was really good.
Neat.
Full of action.
That sounds good.
Okay. Since you talked about JF, I'll talk about my JF. This is
I wanna read that.
This is, oh my gosh. Okay. So this is one of the 84 on the Yalsa Teen Reads books, but we have it in juvenile fiction. So I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, oh, why is it in juvenile fiction? Let me read it and see if we should move it to YA. And it works as both, but the main character is 11, 12, so I think it fits better in juvenile fiction. So this is Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woodson, and it is written in verse. And it's about this boy whose dad is a professional NFL player who has a record for the most concussions in the league. And this was back in, I think, either the early 2000s when they hadn't really done a lot of research on the danger of concussions in sports. So his dad's like really awesome, and they live in this huge house, and he has these 3 best friends, and then his dad starts to forget things. At like, his dad's only like 35, so like he starts like forgetting things. So I cried 4 times, but it was so good because like it's just like imagine being 11 and like having your parent forget your name. Like there's literally one part where he's like, "What's your name again, son?" And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how that would feel. But it's beautiful. It deals with mental conditions and concussions and football and fame and all of these things, and it's also like a coming of age story about relationships between parents and kids, and it's so good. So
She
I
writes
recommend
really good books.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
She has like a million award-winning books.
yeah,
Yeah, she
It's so
does.
good.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I have been really into female-led fantasy lately, like so much. Liz and I are reading the same book right now by J.A.
we were both like,
Yes!
I'm like reading it last night.
I know. I finished all the books that she's published, so I'm like, I need something else. I'm bored. I actually picked this up out of our teen space. It's called The Lady Alchemist by Samantha Vitale. And it's about this young girl named Sepha who grows up in a fantasy world. There's magic. There's witches and wizards. And then there's alchemists. And the alchemists are considered evil. Actually, no, sorry. I have that backwards. I did read the book. Witches and wizards are considered evil. Alchemists are the ones that are in charge. It reminds me a lot
of the worlds that Diana Wayne Jones writes of in Howl's Moving Castle. Exactly. It's got the same vibe to it. But Cepha can do alchemy. She can do really powerful alchemy. She can turn one ingot into a tank.
Oh, wow.
Her father runs a steel mill, and the magistrate of the land comes in and goes, I'm taking your daughter because I do not believe your daughter can do alchemy. She's like little, she's tiny. And the magistrate locks Cepha in a room with a bunch of straw and says, turn that to gold or I'm going to kill you. Yep, very similar. I don't want to give anything else away because it's a great story. It is a great story. It's a one-off. And I was really sad when I figured that out. I was
It's
like,
so small for that.
I know. It's a beautiful, just small, short story if you want to read something magical, female-led fantasy.
All right, I have Rene Adiez. I really don't know if I'm saying her name right, I'm sorry. But she has Flame in the Mist and Smoke in the Sun.
Ooh, pretty.
These were so good. So it starts off and it throws you right into the action too. Starts off with this girl Mariko. She's 16 or 17, I'm not sure. But she is going to be married off to the emperor's, to the next emperor. And she's like, I don't want to get married. I want to be a samurai.
Yes.
But she's a good daughter at the same time. So she's riding in her coach on the way, and they have to cross through this enchanted forest full of demons and stuff. And of course, they get attacked, and the coach is lit on fire and everything, and she has to survive that. She's the only survivor, and she has to find out who attacked her coach and get through this and try to get back to the capital. So she disguises herself as a boy, and she has to infiltrate this den of thieves. The first one spans a whole epic quest of just, so many creatures, just so much going on. And in the second book, that's when she ties it all together, and beautifully too, because she leaves you hanging on the end of the first book. I was just like, what? No, I didn't even know. I was hoping it was a one-off. It really was. And I was like, no! So I had to get the second one. it was so good.
Awesome.
Oh, it was awesome. So if you like the Japanese samurai with a little bit of magic twist thrown in there, it's really good.
Awesome.
Great.
I think it's like my favorite of the year so far.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have to check that out.
I have these two books here. I'm going to be very, very quick, so it's going to be a 2-for-1. This one is the first volume of a manga that we just added to our system called Dear Noman, and we got it in February. And it's about a young girl. She is, I think, like 15, 16, but she's very short for her age. So everyone's like, oh, you're such a squirt. And she's like, no, I just haven't hit my growth spurt yet. Super, super cute, innocent sounding character. And you find out that every day she writes a letter to her sister who passed away when she was younger. So she's filling in like, oh, this happened at school. But she has a talent of seeing ghosts or spirits of things. So not just humans, but of animals too. And she just, keeps it quiet because it's like a natural occurrence. No one else can see them. And so it's super cute. And so I would highly recommend that one. And the next one, Melanie and I both read it. It's called Norway, Book 1, The Black Bull of Norway. And it's about a young girl and her two sisters, and they go to a witch in the woods when they're younger, and it's, please tell us our future. Oh, you're going to marry a duke. Oh, you're going to do this. And then she is told, you're going to be the bull's bride. And she's like, sure, why not?
Okay. Yeah, she's like, I love it. She's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to be the bride of a bull. And so when she turns 16, who shows up knocking at her door but the Black Bull of Norway, who you find out is like a cursed knight, and he's going on this epic journey where he can become a man again. And it's a huge, there's misunderstandings, and he has a whole complicated backstory. So it's really good, it's super pretty, and again, it's called Norway.
Is it a one-shot, or is there more?
There's three in the series.
There's
But
three
we
of
only
them?
have
Oh, okay.
one.
We haven't got the one. Okay.
So check it out, read it, and if more people read it, then we can get volumes 2 and 3.
Awesome. I will check it out and then check it in, check it out, check it in. I want that book.
That's how I feel about
When you're
these
done,
books.
send
I'm
it to Inglewood.
I'm gonna just pass this around. Everyone read them. So we
Oh,
can
I
do
definitely
this.
want to read that.
That's what we do when we are done filming. We're just like, okay, who wants to read this?
Yes.
All of us swap the best books, and then we end up having read the same one.
I know,
for
and
the
then yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's my last book that I was going to talk about.
Ooh.
3D, yes. Grown. So, this girl on the cover, her name's Enchanted. She wants to be a singer. And when the book starts, she's waking up in her hand. She's like in a pool of blood, and there's been a murder, and she doesn't remember anything. And then it jumps back in time. So I'm like, what happened? But
I'm sensing a theme with your books.
Right, let's get into it.
Right?
So she jumps back. She's 16 or 17, and she decides that she's going to try to go on to this show that's like American Idol, where she's going to compete against other singers. And one of the judges, she meets one of the judges, and they kind of exchange phone numbers and stuff, and she's super excited, like, yes, I have this celebrity's phone number. He's so cute. He's so talented. And so they're texting back and forth, and it starts to get like a little inappropriate. And he's 29.
Oh.
Yeah, so then he
She's
starts
like,
saying like,
"Hey."
hey, why don't you come meet up with me and I'll train you, like you're so talented, I can make you into a celebrity. And he kind of like pulls her into his life. And I think it's sort of loosely based off of R. Kelly,
Right.
right? Yeah, so
Probably.
it's kind of difficult to read in a lot of parts where you just want to tell Enchanted, like, don't do that, don't go see him, like you
Yeah.
can see the
So
train wreck about to
The
happen.
fly is
Yeah.
drawing her into his web.
So it's all about how he grooms her into what he wants her to look like and how he wants her to act, sexual assault, emotional manipulation, like you don't really think that, your parents don't really want you, you need to
Right.
stay with me, and he like kind of kidnaps her almost, but she's like sort of willing also. So
Because she's 17, probably. And
yeah,
she's
I mean,
like
she's
grown
a
up
kid.
and stuff.
Exactly. So anyway, really good book. And if you've ever wondered, like, how could that ever happen to someone, this is an example, just like the other one I read, where, with the cult.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're like, how could some girl think that it's a great idea to go live with this guy and like be his prisoner? She thinks it's a good idea because she feels like he's gonna shoot her into superstardom, and she feels like he loves her, which does he? We don't know. But.
And that's one of the also books too, one of the 85.
Yeah, and Tiffany D. Jackson, she wrote I think it's Monday's Not Coming, which is also another really good one. So, go ahead.
And go fast. Okay.
Go for it.
So this is Poison by Jennifer Donnelly. And okay, so I think in like the first Whatcha reading, I talked about stepsisters. So this is in the world, I think. Okay, so Stepsisters was about Cinderella's older stepsister. And it was based on the Grimm story tale where she cuts her toe off, and then they make all these soldiers. And it's so good. Okay, read that. This one I just read is Snow White. So, but it's really interesting because the narrator is like an omniscient narrator, but it's and it was funny because when I was reading it, I sent Liz a picture of this page. I was like, this is so good. Read the writing style. But it's the huntsman who cut out her heart is the narrator.
Oh,
and
wow.
he's dead. And like throughout the whole, like obviously not when he cuts the heart out, but for the rest of the thing, he's dead because he cuts her heart out and then he's executed for it. So he's like, he
His
is telling
spirit
the
or
story.
his
His
ghost is
spirit is
telling-
telling the
yeah.
story. But so, and it says that the fairy tale got it wrong. The evil queen is not asking Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who's the fairest of them all. She's asking Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who will bring about my fall? And it was twisted by the king to make her seem petty and weak. I didn't think I would like it, but Jennifer Donnelly writes so beautifully. And it's like so much happened. And I want to read it again. So it's the story of this town where all of the women are witches because back in time there was this girl who back in like Salem time, she was deemed a witch and thrown into the well, and so when she died, her spirit like contaminated the water of the town, and so all of the girls have grown up with powers, but the boys don't have powers. So it's So the girls are higher in this town than the boys are in like the hierarchy, and they can't leave. No one can leave the town because of the powers. They don't want it spreading. They don't want it contaminating other places. So he has to find where his sister is and discover whether the coven is good or bad, because we don't know. So there's that. It's beautiful. This was Ramona. This was one of the National Book Award finalists like 5 years ago. I think it was like, I don't know. But it's about this girl named Ramona who's a shapeshifter, and she wants to go work for Blackheart, Ballister Blackheart, who is a supervillain.
Yeah.
And she wants to go work for him as his sidekick. But he's like a good supervillain. Like, he doesn't want to kill people. He doesn't want to hurt people. He's like, we're going to go here and steal this. And she's like, okay, I'll take care of the guards. And kills everyone and like sets the place on fire. And
So
he's
like
Ramona,
Shigo and
stop.
Dr. Dragon.
And then this is Sir Golden Loin. And so they were both knights in training. And they were in a joust. And Sir Golden Loin cuts off his arm. So he like wants revenge, but like, does he really want revenge?
It sounds
it's
super
like super
cute.
good because like you think it's like this whole like she just wants to be a sidekick, and then there's like a bunch of plot twists, and like people are more powerful than you think they are, and it's like who's good, who's bad, what's happening. There's like a whole institution called the Institution who is in charge of like Sir Golden Loin and the good people, and they're fighting the super villains, but like who's really evil? It's so good. It was really good. I see why it was Book of the Year. It's more. Ooh, that's a bad page. I don't want to give things away. Sorry, it's like things are exploding. It's like all of it's handwritten by the person, and like really cute drawings, and I love it. It's so cute. So, Ramona by Noel Stevenson.
One of my favorites, especially for just relaxing and looking at nonsense, is Emily the Strange. There's no plot with this creepy little goth girl who's only 13. She has 5 black cats with her, and she talks to
Just
the
because it has
most
cats.
incredible people. She gets bored, she gets lost, she even is a little obsessed with death and very creepy things. But she loves to talk about music, she loves to explore history and the past. She had a whole plot where she discovered a distant relative who founded an entire strange town full of music, crypts, bookstores packed to the brim with ancient occult Celtic books of grimoires and everything. It is so wonderful. I really love it because as a kid, especially saying in school, I'm a doodler. I doodle in my notes, I doodle all over the page. And the artist, Rob Rieger, he's the exact same way. Every single page looks like you spent hours in math class just doodling, doodling. And I love it. Like, Emily's iconic. You will notice her anywhere. She has eyes that are just like one line curve for her upper lip, her pupil, and then her bangs and eyebrows are just all the rest. I've drawn her so many times. I love Emily. So like, this is great. We literally just got this added to our system, and it gave me such nostalgia. When I opened the bin, I screamed. I was like, Emily, yes! So I'm like, I have to reread this. I love these so much.
Awesome.
It's never bad to read a
Everybody
comic.
has some good sounding books this week.
I just realized I didn't say what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
It's Grimoire Noir. Sorry.
I just realized I forgot to say that the Gracier is coming out in a movie. Yes.
What?
Yes. I don't know if it's this year or next year, but there is a movie. Google it. Find out about it. I can't
You
wait to
just
see
blew
it.
her mind.
I know. I can't wait to see it.
I'm so excited. We should go.
I'm
we
excited,
should
but
go
I'm
see
trying
it.
not to be too excited because they could destroy. They could just
know.
ruin it.
There was also
I hope
one
they
of
don't.
the Fortitude Reads books last year.
Nice. Yes, that's right. It was. Okay. The last book I have is called Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. And it's great. It's 6 Fae relics, 1 daring thief, the score of a lifetime. What I really loved about this is it's about the male character. The main character is a male.
Oh, good. We
And
need to talk about that.
he's awesome. He is your typical teenage boy. I will say There's a lot of cussing in this book. There is. It is narrated by a teenage boy, so if you don't mind that, it's okay. I mean, he's really funny the way he does it. He gets creative. It's hilarious. I'm telling you, this is great for boys, but I enjoyed it too. There are a couple of parts that are like, woo, but. So he has to go through, and this is just in the first couple of chapters too. He has to go through this Fey ruin, and he's finally getting through, and he finds the relic he's supposed to find, and it's a sleeping Fey. And he wakes him up, and then they go on this crazy quest to find all of these pieces of a weapon, and these pieces come to life and turn into these awesome automaton characters, and it's so good, but I'm listening to this book, and I just realized this morning when I was listening to it, I don't think this is over. And I think it came out in 2020, and I think there's going to be another book.
Oh, so you're left hanging until the next
I hate that. That's why I'm always like, whenever you say it's a one-shot, I'm like, yes! Because I hate being left hanging. And now
the whole series is out normally.
I don't know what's going to happen, but nothing is coming together, so I know for certain that I'm going to have a cliffhanger, and I'm going to have to wait. And since they haven't announced if there's going to be a sequel yet, pretty sure we have to wait a long time, but it's really good.
Well, we had so much fun, like geeking out and enthusiasming over all the books we've been reading, and we really hope that we entice some of you guys to want to read these books too, because they're so amazing, they're great, and the best part, they're all in Charlotte County libraries, and they're free to you with your library card.
All right.
This has been
a blast.
Bye.